All right, welcome back to the conference room with Mark S. Lee. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Great conversation, great lineup of guests as we do each and every single week. I appreciate all of you for tuning in, checking us out on Facebook Live, iHeartRadio, where else? We're on Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, TuneIn Radio, Roku. I mean, we're literally everywhere. Good old-fashioned cars as you're driving around. You can hear us on radio as well. Thank you all for tuning in. And our very special next guest is Miss Lydia Michael, and she's an entrepreneur, speaker, consultant. Now she's an author, and she has her own organization called Blended Collective, which is a multicultural marketing and brand consultancy. And she's done some great work for some great clients across Metro Detroit as well as across the country. And she's also been recognized with several diversity and marketing center awards. Lydia, thanks for joining me in the conference room.
Hi, Mark. Thank you for having me.
So good to see you again.
Yeah, happy to be back. It's been a while, yes.
Yeah. And so last time we chatted, I remember you were involved in my workshop.
Yes.
Right? And you were speaking and things like that. We've done panel discussions together. Mm-hmm. So give the audience a sense of Blended Collective. Talk to us about the organization. Let's kind of slide this over a little bit this way.
Yeah.
I can see. There you go.
Here we go.
All right.
Yeah, so Blended Collective was started in 2017, and we're a multicultural marketing and brand consultancy. And really the main reason for starting the company at the time was because I saw a gap in the marketplace in terms of marketing services that were offered. And so I wanted to create something that was focused on both culture and emotion when we talk about marketing. So that is really our key focus with Blended Collective.
Okay. And with all the things that are going on in this country, not a political conversation.
Yes.
But you know what I'm referencing in terms of some of the challenges in the multicultural space.
Yeah.
What's your perception from a business standpoint? The business is still committed to that space, or are you seeing some challenges as well?
Yeah, I think you mean businesses in general, right? Yeah. I think it's really important for businesses to express their opinion and not necessarily make it political. But I think considering the cultural landscape and what customers are looking for, they're looking for brands who have an opinion and who stand for something. And they want to support businesses who have similar or even the same core values that they have, right, when they buy a product. So it's no longer the case where you're simply buying a product or you're buying a brand and you're just supporting it because you like the product. It really is about purpose and values and authenticity. And so the more that resonates with your customer, the more successful the brand. And so I think it's important that a brand has a healthy balance of expressing not only who they are and why they exist, but also what they sort of support in this world.
And when we talk about brand, we're going to segue into your book. I want to start off basically with a very basic question, because people confuse it. I teach it to students all the time. But What is a brand?
What is a brand? Yeah. So a brand is anything that represents a set of core values and looks to sell a product or essentially a product or a service, right? And what we see a lot of times is brands now are going beyond just the product and the service. And it goes back to what I just talked about is the values, right? Sort of the why do I exist as a brand? Mm-hmm. What is sort of my purpose here? What am I here to serve?
Yeah. Yeah, the brand, it's not just the product. A lot of times people think the brand is the product. The product is the utilitarian value. It fills a specific need, whatever it might be. But the brand is much larger. Yeah. It represents you. There's that emotional connection.
Absolutely.
There's everything associated with it. There's a reason why we wear certain clothes. There's a reason why we might buy a particular brand. And that leads me to your book, Brand Love, right?
Yes.
Brand Love. And I was asking you during the break, is this your very first book that you have written?
That is the very first one, yes.
So what is Brand Love? What is it?
So it's funny that you ask that, because in the book, I actually take it upon myself to define brand love. So if you look at the industry and you look at marketing, there isn't really the set definition of brand love. If you open up a dictionary, you probably won't find anything, right? And so in the book, I define it as a few different things. One, it's this long-term connection that we create between a brand and a consumer. Mm-hmm. But it also is a very emotional connection that results in loyalty and advocacy, essentially. So it's these deep connections that we create over time as we connect with brands. Mm-hmm. And throughout the book, I talk about, and I reference a lot of the person-to-person relationships as well as the brand-to-consumer relationships, because a lot of the things that we do or the way that we feel towards a brand, we also feel a very similar way in personal relationships.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of the basis of what brand love is.
Yeah, I love what you just said about personal relationships. It's not unlike a personal relationship. I mean, you get involved in a situation, a personal situation, because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Or there's something about that person, or there's that emotional connection to the person. You see eye to eye. You may not see eye to eye.
Right.
You don't see eye to eye. You might switch people. And going back to the business component, there's something about that brand. If you don't see eye to eye with it, you're going to maybe switch over.
And you see a lot of that now, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, especially throughout the difficult past few years with the pandemic and even now, right? People are really paying attention to what brands are doing, but also what brands are saying. And they're very quick to abandon a brand and go find a replacement if it does not align with their values. So again, people are not just buying products and services anymore. They're really buying what the brand stands for.
So without identifying a specific brand at this point, what are some of the key components that make a successful relationship with a brand or brand loved?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I define brand love drivers in the book that are both rational and emotional that sort of contribute to the path of brand love. And so there are drivers such as authenticity, sustainability, trust, diversity, inclusion, culture, all of those different elements that live on the emotional side. But also on the rational side, things like differentiation, consistency, relevance, right, that are also equally important for us to really be able to build the successful brand. And so when you take these brand love drivers and you pair it up with what I introduce in the book as the 8 brand love stages, it sort of helps take you through this path of 8 different steps that you can follow to build and grow this successful brand in connection with these drivers.
So highlight, without giving away all 8 steps, I know you want people to buy the book, I get it.
Yeah.
What are a couple of examples or a couple of the components that you can highlight here?
Yeah. So there is one chapter, for instance, that really talks about the purpose and the sustainability factor of brands. And I highlight brands such as Ben & Jerry's and Patagonia because they truly stand for one of these values very strongly, right? And so for Patagonia, it's protecting the environment. They're very much focused on purpose. And so they do that by applying one of these values very heavily. Now, this is not to say that you should only apply one of these drivers to make it and be a brand, a loved brand, but really it's a combination of elements. It's a combination of emotional drivers, rational drivers, but those are some really strong brands. And Ben & Jerry's, it's an ice cream brand. And I'm sure a lot of people that are familiar with the brand know that it's not just about selling ice cream for them, right?
Yeah.
They're very, very much focused on social activism and expressing what they believe. And they have a fan base to support that.
They do.
Yeah.
I asked you a question right before we came on the air. People have written books. I've been asked to write a book. One time I actually started, I couldn't finish it. But how long did it take you to research a book and then write it? When did you come up with the idea?
Yeah.
And now you just published a book recently.
Yeah. So the actual idea I came up with was sometime in 2021. So roughly 2 years ago, a little bit less. And I wanted to self-publish initially, and then the publisher that I now have had reached out and asked me if I was interested in writing a book. And so that whole process of starting with them and then signing with them and now publishing the book was about 1.5 years. Actually writing it and researching it is a little tricky because even though it took me 4 months to write the book, I always say the research was 7 years in the making.
Yeah.
And not because I knew that I wanted to write a book 7 years ago, because I didn't. But the introduction to the topic of brand love started in 2016 when I was working at L'Oreal in Germany. And that was sort of this first falling in love moment for me with the topic of brand love. And since then, I've incorporated it into my business, my client work. I've spoken about the topic at national marketing conferences. And so it sort of has been this journey of this topic being a part of my life and me staying up to date on trends and brands and gathering information. And that sort of all was used to then write the book.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, we're talking to Lydia Michael. She's now an author, and she's talking about her book, Brand Love, B-R-A-N-D. That's Brand Love. And, hey, if you got some favorite brands you want to chime in, you're more than welcome to join us at 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. You know, as you talk about in your research, what do you find that consumers are really looking for from their perspective, not from a business perspective, what they're trying to communicate, but even fundamentally, what are consumers looking for?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I integrate the value of culture very heavily into the book, whether it's, different types of culture on a global scale. I think a lot of times what people are looking for is for a brand that resonates with who they are and what they do. And you said it earlier, we're not just, buying a product because we like the product. We're buying it because it means something. So the whole meaning, the purpose, a lot of times it's the value alignment. I mean, the culture that we grow up in and the culture that we're surrounded by really impacts the way we view the world and the way we view brands and the way we create these connections with brands. And so that is one key reason as to why I might choose one brand over the other. It could also be, facts of nostalgia, memorability. So a lot of different factors.
Well, hold that thought. We're going to take a real quick break and come back for our final segment on this week's conference room with Marquez Lee and Lydia Michael. And hang tight. We'll be right back.
Did you know most vitamin supplements don't even come from food? Even the products with colorful fruits and vegetables adorning the labels are seldom derived from produce. Typically, supplements are synthetic, made in a laboratory. Modern science may synthetically imitate these chemicals, but your body isn't fooled. It knows the difference, and it craves quality materials to build, repair, and fight illness. You need to consume fruits and vegetables daily in a variety of colors, as well as whole grains and other fresh food. That's why I formulated Balance of Nature. I wanted to be able to give my patients a natural alternative to the cheap, unnatural chemistry by giving them real fruits and vegetables. In fact, the only ingredients inside of Balance of Nature are whole fruits and vegetables. Don't settle for imitation nutrition. Reach for the good stuff, the real stuff.
Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order by using discount code RADIO5.
The all-new 910 Superstation is your #1 source for urban talk radio. If you're looking for the best in radio programming, look no further. You can now listen in on a multitude of audio platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Listen Notes, and coming soon to Amazon Music, Good Pods, and Overcast. 910 AM Superstation, the largest, strongest, 50,000-watt urban radio station in town.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
910 AM Superstation has the greatest advertising deal ever with our Godfather package. 100 spots for $600 with a must-air within 30-day policy, and we will even produce the spots free. That's right, free. Call Devin C. now at 248-357-4566. That's 248-357-4566. Or email at d.calhoun@thewordnetwork.org. This excludes political ads.
All right, welcome back to the conference room with Mark S. Lee and Lydia Michael, who's an author. She also has a multicultural agency called Blended Collective. Here for our final segment, and you've been on the tour. You have a book tour, right? You've been doing media tours and interviews. Talk about that process.
Yeah, so the book just published this week, actually, in the U.S. and Canada. It came out all around the world earlier this month. And so we had a book signing this week in Detroit here locally. And then I went out to New York to meet the publisher and meet some of the brands and companies actually that contributed to the book to drop off a copy to them. So that was super exciting. I just got back last night.
I mean, that's got to be interesting. You know, you have a book signing tour, people show up. I mean, what is that reaction? You sitting there, you've got your book published, and people are actually sitting there waiting to talk to you, and you're going to autograph the book and answer questions. Talk about that experience.
Yeah, it's honestly, I'm super, super thankful for that experience. It still feels very surreal. Thinking of the days and nights I spent behind my desk and really everywhere, just kind of writing and trying to get my thoughts across and making sure that I write it in a way that resonates, right? And so there was a lot of time and emotion and vulnerability that went into the book. And so now being able to share it with people and seeing their reaction and seeing how it's sort of perceived and being able to really share my story and reasons for writing the book, it really is an exciting moment.
So talk about the brands who are not doing it right. You don't have to identify the specific brands at all. That's not the point here.
Yeah.
But talk about, based on your research, what they're not doing to connect with customers.
Yeah. I think one big thing that I talk about in the book that brands are not doing and need to do more of is the representation in-house. I think a lot of it starts with that, right? The successful marketing campaigns. And you've seen a lot of that, I'm sure, with, you teaching the subject and all of that. A lot of times the big brands that you would think have all of the resources, all of the people that they should have, to do it right, they're the ones that are the first to fail. And it's a lot of the corporations that we see. But the reason is because they do not represent, they don't have the people in-house to represent the audience that they're trying to reach. And I think that is crucial. So that is very much tied to the cultural impact of the campaign. So when you have a group of people that you're looking to attract with your new product or new service, and the campaign that is being created does not reflect those very same people, I think that's where the key issue is.
Yeah. I remember starting my career years ago. I worked in advertising. I worked in marketing a long time ago. Then I segued into advertising, I believe. Then went back on the client side. In those days, we didn't quite figure out this thing called segmentation.
Yes.
Right? And organizations were grappling. You got to remember, this is back in the mid-'80s. So organizations were grappling with, let's just create an advertising campaign, let's create a marketing strategy, and push it out to everybody, the exact same message.
Exactly. You can't do that anymore.
Can't do that anymore. And that leads me to talk about young people. You got the millennials. You have the other young people. What are the young people called nowadays? It's Zers. I don't know. There's so many acronyms, but the young people like in high
Gen
school.
Z?
Okay, is that it?
The Gen Z, the millennials, yeah.
Okay. Well, I know
Gen
the
Z.
millennials, but younger than the millennials. Talk about their expectations. The sense that I get, Lydia, is that the younger person who's been raised on technology, their brand loyalty is not really brand loyalty anymore.
The brand loyalty is different.
Yeah.
And like you said, they grew up, they're digital natives is also what they're called. And they are looking for that genuine, authentic connection with brands.
Really?
And they are looking more than anybody, I think, in terms of generations and audiences, they're looking for the ones who are doing it for the right reasons. They're looking for the brands that say they're going to do something, they're actually going to do it, right? So I think the loyalty is a lot different because they're looking for different things. But at the end of the day, they're still looking for what's real.
And I think another thing I noticed that a lot of the younger consumers are looking for, let me rephrase this. We've heard a lot about cause-related marketing, right? With people, with brands associate themselves with a particular cause.
Yeah.
And That could be a plus or that could be a negative, right? It could be a plus or a minus. What are young people more in tune to the cause of marketing than, say, a baby boomer? A baby boomer, for those of you tuning in, are people born between 1948 and 1964. So these are people now approaching retirement age,
Yep.
and they're thinking about, you know what, I'm done, I'm going to retire and do whatever I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Are they more focused on cause-related marketing efforts, or are the younger generation, the millennials, the Zers, the Yers, everybody else, are they much more focused on causes?
I think it's the younger audiences that are definitely more focused on that. They really do care, and they're the ones that are paying attention to what brands are saying and what they're doing. For them, it's actually not just about the product or service. I think, if anything, for baby boomers and the older generation, it's a lot of times it's, if I like a product, I like a product. I'm going to support it. I don't really care what they stand for. I hear that a lot of times in my circle. I'm not saying everybody, right? But I think that that's more common for those generation to do that, because that type of marketing, the cause-related marketing, it's a lot more new, if you will, right? It's sort of the past.
But there's also the risk with the cause, particularly, again, I'm not turning this into a political discussion. We have a couple minutes remaining. I'm just saying, in today's environment, where we have all these people, I don't know if I support that cause. And, you go to a store nowadays, you pay $6.50. They'll say, well, would you mind increasing to $7 with the difference going to
support the
X, Y, and Z association?
Yeah.
And some people would happily say, sure, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Whereas some people might be like, well, I'm not sure I necessarily support that particular cause.
Right.
So there is a potential risk associated with doing something like that.
There always is. But I think the brands that are doing that and that are focused on a very specific cause, they also know who they're trying to attract. They know who their audience is. They don't care to be everything to everyone. They don't want to make money just to make money. They want to make money for the right reasons, and they want those people to support them because they believe in their cause. Like a company like, going back to Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, I'm sure there could be a lot more people that would eat Ben & Jerry's ice cream if, they maybe didn't stand for what they stand for, because people have different beliefs, right? And that's totally okay. But those brands, I think, are so confident in what they do and why they do it that they don't care to sell to somebody who doesn't support their cause.
Okay. Well, as we wrap up, where can people get your book, contact information as well?
Absolutely. So you can learn more about me and the book on lydiamichael.com, the company on blendedcollective.com, but the book is available on Amazon and anywhere you can find books.
Okay. Well, Lydia, always good to catch up with you. Congratulations on publishing your first book. I wish you a lot of success with it.
So, thank you so much.
Keep representing the D.
Yeah, I absolutely will.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. It's been a wonderful day. A great show. Appreciate the conversations, the guests, the callers, everybody that's reached out to us as well. I just want you to know this is an honor to do this each and every single week, to provide you with the information that you're looking for. So as I go out today, I want to say have a good afternoon, have a good week. I will check you out next Saturday as part of the weekly wrap-up with Mark S. Lee. And then right back here next Sunday for In the Conference Room with Mark S. Lee. Stay tuned for my good friend Angela T. Moore. She's next. As always, in closing, we are